Hello, today I'd like to show you how to get started with WooCommerce Zapier. In today's example, we're going to configure a Zap that will send every WooCommerce order across to a spreadsheet that we've created. You may have different preference for spreadsheets, for example, Google Sheets or Office 365, but for this example, you can see here that I've created a Zapier Table, which has got 5 fairly simple data columns in there. So what we're going to do in this example is we're going to configure WooCommerce Zapier to automatically add orders into this table spreadsheet when they're received in WooCommerce. So to get started, we need to make sure that we've purchased WooCommerce Zapier from the WooCommerce.com marketplace. Once you have done that, in your WooCommerce store, you need to go into the dashboard and under WooCommerce extensions and across to my subscriptions. You can see there WooCommerce Zapier is listed, so we're going to go ahead and install that. This is installing the WooCommerce Zapier plugin into our WordPress and WooCommerce site. So we'll just give that a second to complete. There we go. That's now completed and WooCommerce Zapier is listed as being installed there. So just to confirm, if you go to the plugin screen, you'll now see WooCommerce Zapier listed there. So let's return back to our WooCommerce homepage. So next up, we actually need to go across to the Zapier website. We've installed the plugin on WooCommerce and now we're going to do the remaining steps on the Zapier.com website. So we jump across here where I'm logged into my Zapier account. I'm going to create a new Zap. And because this is the first time that I've created a Zap using WooCommerce, I'm also going to have to connect my Zapier account to my WooCommerce store. And that process is known as authenticating. So let's choose WooCommerce as our trigger step in the Zap. Now you can see quite a few different data types from WooCommerce listed. In this example, we're going to be sending order data to WooCommerce. So let's choose that. Now you can see there's the connect step here. So let's go ahead and sign in. This is configuring our Zapier account so it has permission to communicate with our WooCommerce store. And you can see it needs 3 pieces of information here: our website address or URL, our username that we use to log in, and a password. So I'm going to go back to the home page of my WooCommerce store and copy the URL from my browser address bar. Then I can paste that in to the WordPress site address field. Next up, I'm going to type in my username that I use when I log into my WooCommerce store. Now, password, you might notice that this is actually asking for an application password, not a WordPress password. So they're actually different, and there's a few important reasons why we use an application password rather than your regular password. One, it helps improve compatibility with security plugins and services that you may have running on your WooCommerce store. And 2, it's better security practice, and it also means that if you change your WordPress password, then you won't have to come back here and change your authentication details in Zapier. So it makes it more resilient there as well. So to generate an application password for our user account in WooCommerce, we're going to click back here into WooCommerce and go to our profile. We'll scroll down the screen until we get to the application password section. In there, we're going to create a new application password called WooCommerce Zapier. Create one called WooCommerce Zapier. Copy that new application password, return back to the Zapier dialog box and paste in that application password, and then click continue. Great. Okay, so now our Zapier account is connected to our WooCommerce store. So let's continue in the Zap editor. Now we need to choose a trigger rule. And this is what dictates when our orders are going to be sent to Zapier from WooCommerce. So let's look at the list of available rules we can choose from. We're going to choose order paid. That's our most popular trigger rule because it ensures that only paid orders are sent to Zapier rather than unpaid orders as well. So let's go ahead and choose order paid and continue. Now let's test that trigger step. At this point, what Zapier is doing is it's actually communicating with WooCommerce and pulling in some real WooCommerce orders. That way, when we're configuring the remainder of our Zap here, we can actually use some real order data from our WooCommerce store. There we are. It's found some orders in our WooCommerce store. Let's go ahead and choose one of those orders. See, we've got order number 113 from our WooCommerce store. Now the next step is to configure our action part of our Zap. So in this example, we're using WooCommerce order paid as the trigger step. And then the action we want here is we want to actually add a new row into our spreadsheet. So we're using Zapier Tables. You may be using Google Sheets or something similar. So let's go ahead and choose Zapier Tables there. Now the operation we want here is creating a new record in the table. Let's continue. Now you can see here in my other tab, I've got our table open here. I've called that one My Orders. So in this drop down here, in the Zap editor, we want to click in that and scroll down and we want to choose My Orders. So that's the Zapier table that we want to add the data to. Now below that, you're going to see all of the fields that we've got inside our Zapier tables. So what we need to do now is we need to map the data from WooCommerce into those 5 data fields in our table. So let's go ahead and click into the order number field. If we scroll down a little bit, from there we can see that we can choose any one of the data fields available from the WooCommerce order. Rather than scrolling that long list, I'm going to go ahead and search for one called number. There we go. And you can also see when you're looking in the list of fields, it shows the name of the field and then an example value as well. And that example value comes from the sample data in step 1 of our Zap. We've mapped the WooCommerce order number into the order number column in our table. Let's go ahead and do a similar thing for the first name column in our table. Click in there and search for first name even. There we go. And then last name. Order total. WooCommerce also has a field against the order called total. So let's go ahead and choose that. And order date. We can search the WooCommerce data fields there for the word date, and we can see that WooCommerce has a date paid field for the order as well. So that's the field we're going to map into order date. So there we have it. We've configured all 5 of those Zapier table columns to be populated with data from step 1 of our Zap, which is our WooCommerce trigger step. So let's continue. Now Zapier is suggesting here that we might want to test this action step. So let's go ahead and do that. If we click test and jump across to our Zapier table, we should see that Zapier has gone ahead and added all of that sample data from our Zap editor into the spreadsheet middle. So everything's looking good there. Let's go back to our Zap editor. It's asking us to publish our Zap, but before we do that, we're actually going to go ahead and rename our Zap to, because you can have many different Zaps in your Zapier account, it's always a good idea to name your Zap as well. So in this case, I might call this WooCommerce Orders to My Orders Table. Let's hit enter on that. So we've named the Zap. Let's go ahead and turn it on too. Now that it's turned on, what will happen is next time you receive an order in WooCommerce, it'll go through that Zap and the automation will occur. So let's go ahead and test that now. If we jump back to WooCommerce and look at our demo site again, let's go ahead and place an order just like a regular customer would. And we're going to complete the checkout, including a payment. Let's go ahead and place an order. So that order has been successful. Now what's happened is WooCommerce has now recognized that a new paid order has been received. So it's actually sending that data to Zapier in the background behind the scenes. So let's jump across to our orders table. There we have it. We can see that brand new order that we just created a few seconds ago is already showing up in here as a new row in the table. So that's great news. We can see that that's working correctly. In the Zapier interface, you can also look at your Zapier history. This shows all the different tasks, and you can see there that task also ran at 4:25 p.m. this afternoon as well. And back on the WooCommerce side of things, now that you've got WooCommerce Zapier installed, you'll also notice in the background that we've got this new Zapier item under the WooCommerce menu, and this is a history of all the different activity. So that's great news. So you can check this screen on progress. You can see all your orders and activity that's happening. If there are any problems that occur, you'll see them here with a status of error rather than okay. And the one other useful place too in WooCommerce, if you were to view a WooCommerce order, let's view that latest one that we just placed a few minutes ago and scroll down, we've got this new WooCommerce Zapier history box on the order screen as well. So that makes it nice and easy to monitor your automation. So you can do that centrally via the Zapier screen. That'll show all of your activity across all of your orders and products and coupons and all the different things. Or when you're viewing an individual order or product, you can also see that the activity that's relevant to that resource only. So there we have it. We've set up WooCommerce Zapier for the first time and turned on our first automation, and it's already receiving real data.